Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. I am back, and this is part 2 of What If Naofumi was a legendary explosion hero. I really do need to do stuff outside of My Hero Academia. I'm kind of getting stuck in the My Hero stuff, and the only reason why that's the case is because I've been watching, obviously, the new season of My Hero Academia. I already know what happens and everything, but this season and a little bit further will be kind of the only good parts of My Hero Academia for a long time, because after that point it's kind of gets real bad in my opinion. I'm sure we could talk about that for hours, and maybe I'll do a live stream talking about it, but right now in the anime this is kind of the point where it's like really good in my opinion, dating back to like the first couple seasons of My Hero Academia. So yeah, that's why I've been enjoying doing the My Hero Academia stuff. But yeah, we're here. Season 3 of Shield Hero will come out, I think, eventually. I think probably like next year, or I don't really remember what it was. But yeah, I'm here for part 2, and I'm not gonna waste that much more of your time. And let's get into part 2 of What If Naofumi was the legendary explosion hero, and let's get it. Naofumi and Motoyasu, or the spear hero, face off. Both of them stare at each other intently as the duel begins to get hyped up and they're ready to fight. But let's just say Motoyasu and Naofumi, that little matchup is not a fair one. Because Motoyasu, he may be strong in terms of level, but he's not strong in terms of survival. Naofumi has built this entire time off of the idea that he needs to survive. That's it. That's what he needs to do. He needs to protect his partners, and so on and so forth. Naofumi, on the other hand, or Motoyasu on the other hand, has been pampered, taken care of, and that's it. Naofumi immediately starts the fight with an explosion, a giant one at that, using a special type of explosion that is weaker but allows for a lot bigger radius. It catches Motoyasu and slightly stuns him, and Naofumi follows up with a couple more explosions. Motoyasu would follow up with a couple spear strikes, but Naofumi's enhanced speed and movement techniques is very easy for him to basically dodge with relative ease, and he's able to get away relatively easily. He continues to use his explosions, and eventually, using his toxin explosion, he begins to slow down Motoyasu, slowly but surely chipping away at that special armor and also that high HP pull. Continuing to do this, Motoyasu can feel that he's getting weaker and weaker, a fight that he's already at a massive disadvantage. So the fact that all Naofumi has to do is whittle him down slowly but surely is definitely something that Naofumi will benefit from. On top of that, there is one bit of an issue, and that's the issue with the, well, over-exaggerated crowd, and on top of that, the bias they have toward the spear hero himself. And that's because when Naofumi seems to have won the fight entirely, a blast and a gust of wind would slam into him and stagger him slightly. He would feel this gust of wind and see exactly who did it. It's that woman, that princess. And he's absolutely livid, pissed. He's frustrated and angry. That's all he is at this moment. And when Motoyasu feels that, oh, he has the upper hand now, he goes to look for his shots, goes to look for his plunge of his spear, but let's just say that was a horrible idea. Naofumi turns one time and with a concentrated blast sends him flying into the sky. Naofumi, using these blasts, flies up toward him as he slams him back toward the ground, hitting him so hard on the ground that he's extremely injured. Naofumi shakes it off and he says to never intervene in a duel ever again, that's a big mistake. He references this over toward mine, and he begins to walk away as he takes Raphtalia as well. He tells Raphtalia that they need to leave, that this feels off, that their stay here will not be very long, because frankly he can tell that these people, they do not want him here and will not want her here either. She agrees, of course, and that it's pretty obvious that their hatred toward him stems from something far, far greater than they can possibly imagine. Nonetheless, Naofumi and Raphtalia begin to head out to Loot Village. Their goal is to at least get as far as possible from Melremark. They don't know much about the other countries, but maybe they can go there sooner rather than later. They begin to pack their stuff up and get ready over the next couple days to leave Loot Village. But before they could even leave, well, Motoyasu, Mine, and a bunch of royal guards would show up at Loot Village, threatening to take it down or take it as their own, and saying that they have a royal decree to basically do so. But Naofumi says otherwise, saying that they can't do that. The people here, they don't have that much money, and these tolls would completely and utterly cripple them. And doing something would be extremely heinous. Of course, Mine refuses to listen to any of this, and Naofumi doesn't care and continues to say that if they really want another fight, they can have another fight. But they need to leave them alone now. As he's saying this, though, one of the shadows begins to appear, one of the Queen's shadows. And Naofumi looks confused. The Queen's shadow shows this piece of paper and explains to Mine something, and Mine immediately backs down. It seems that something has occurred, or maybe a royal power has more or less overruled her. Naofumi is happy to at least see that they're leaving and that they're getting out of here ASAP, because he wants to leave as well. At least wants to explore a little bit more outside of where they currently are. So that's exactly what he's going to do after he knows everyone is safe and everyone is good to go. He explains to everyone in Loot Village that he'll be leaving for a little while, but he'll definitely come and visit when he can. They're happy to hear this, and they give Naofumi some goodbye gifts to see him head off into the sunset. Naofumi and Raphtalia would then leave and would begin exploring more and more. Eventually, though, it would lead to them coming across some sort of merchant, and when they meet him, it's actually kind of weird. A bunch of bandits try and hurt him, but they easily fend those bandits off. They're kind of weak and kind of, well, not even close to their level, so they're easily defeated, and Naofumi just continues on with this said merchant to get him to the place he needs to go. And the merchant would, of course, give him some valuable things and would actually partner up with Naofumi to work on some missions, and Naofumi would get a bit of a commission for it. Naofumi would then go on to, well, some missions, like I said. Naofumi would head to this village, and during this trip he would wonder why he was given some odd herbicide. But when he arrives, he would realize the exact reason for the herbicide in his hand. And that's because this place that he just arrived to is covered in vines and creatures that are plant-like for some reason. And when he begins to look around, he sees everything kind of destroyed or extremely altered. Now, this wouldn't seem too outlandish for a world like this, but when he arrives in the village, they begin to say that this is no ordinary thing. This is all because of the Spear Hero. Now, this makes Naofumi extremely not only uncomfortable, but also annoyed. The Spear Hero basically sacrificed this place that he currently is at, and frankly, he's tired of these heroes. It seems like all they care about is themselves, which is the furthest thing that Naofumi wants to be recognized as himself, at least personally. Naofumi, though, would just continue to ask them questions, the village questions, and anything that he could possibly learn or know. And he learns of various things that needed to be known. They're kind of out of food, in complete famine, and that's the reason why they even planted this so-called seed. But this horrible cursed seed ended up turning into monsters, turning everything into monsters. Naofumi explains that he's going to try and fix all of this, but it might lead to him actually killing everything, all the vegetation. But he should be able to destroy these monstrous creatures that are kind of overrunning everything. They agree to basically do exactly that. Just kill all the vegetation if you need to. They just want to be safe, and then they'll figure out what they need to do from there. Naofumi says that they'll come up with a plan together after he does this, and he'll be quick about it as well. He heads out with some herbicide with Raphtalia, and using some of his poisonous explosions, he implements that with the herbicide, and it instantly begins to mass destroy all of these plants. He continues to use it until there is no trace of them at all, and he's even able to absorb some of the plants, or the dead plants, to implement them within his own explosions, which will just make his more poisonous explosions a lot more potent, which is going to help down the line. Naofumi, though, he sees that everything is now destroyed, dead, and everything is, kind of ruined. He feels bad about this, but he knows that this was kind of like the only course of action that they could really approach, so he begins to explain to them exactly what he did and exactly what needs to go down now. Yes, everything is dead, but it's going to be hard to implement more and more in terms of, growing more food. Naofumi tells them that he'll bring them some other foods or other seeds and stuff like that to hopefully plant, and they're going to have to try to utilize their own knowledge of crops to try and basically regrow what's kind of already gone. Naofumi flies off and then would bring back from the merchant himself, as kind of a partial pay, he brings a bunch of seeds and a bunch of ways to actually make more food, and some actually decent fertilizer that would allow the food to grow a lot faster. The village is obviously extremely grateful, and Naofumi says that it's truly no problem, that he'll be heading out now with Raphtalia, and that they're actually planning on leaving the country. And they begin to tell him more information about different countries like Frieden and so on, including places like Siltveld and even other places further down, but the main places that he should go to is probably Frieden or Siltveld. Naofumi nods his head, and it does make a lot of sense, especially since Raphtalia is a demi-human. Naofumi and Raphtalia continue their journeys with the merchant and actually make a couple more bucks, basically trying to make more and more money, and they would be able to do just that. And their last little mission would finally arrive throughout this month. That mission is to basically clear up this village from this weird smog or weird, basically disease-ridden air, and they think it's going to be simple, but it's not. The furthest thing from simple, actually, because there is a giant dragon at the top of the mountain that is polluting everything. And they get information that it's actually because of the sword hero, which makes Naofumi have a nastier taste in his mouth about the rest of the heroes as well. He thought maybe, just maybe, the spear hero was the only one that was bad, but now he's hearing that the sword hero is just as bad as him. Now this is just so annoying. Frankly, Naofumi goes up there to try and basically cut up the dragon or incinerate it to the point that he can get rid of it. But when Naofumi and Raphtalia arrive up there, it seems that the dragon has awakened as a zombie. Naofumi tells Raphtalia that she needs to go now, that he's the only one strong enough to at least go against this thing, but Raphtalia refuses to leave. Naofumi shakes his head as he continues to just shoot explosions toward this said dragon as much as possible. But it seems as if the dragon just won't fall. The dragon won't die. Naofumi continues to shoot at the dragon using long-ranged explosions and anything to really keep the dragon at bay, but eventually fire begins to ring toward Naofumi and he holds it off using his explosions. It's as if it's a giant struggle. He tells Raphtalia she needs to get to cover now, that he won't be able to hold this forever. Raphtalia listens, dropping down, as Naofumi seems to be engulfed by the flames itself. She screams for Naofumi, but as she does, it seems as if the flames begin to dissipate, as if the fire that the dragon is shooting is currently being absorbed. Out of nowhere, Naofumi's clothes seem to be singed and torn apart, but he's standing with his hands still up toward the flames of the dragon. And he continues to absorb the flames until the dragon's flames seem to run out. The dragon looks in complete shock, and a snarl or a growl begins to be heard and rung throughout the area, and Naofumi sends the flames directly back, but a giant explosion of black flames absorbs the dragon. Naofumi's eyes are a dark red as this occurs, and he basically implodes the dragon with his own flames. Naofumi watches as the body parts hit the ground entirely, and he looks around to see Raphtalia, but he then collapses to the ground and passes out. Luckily, many people begin to run up to the mountain and help clean up the mess that was made after the dragon was, well, revived and then killed once again. And since they were able to clean up everything, now the smell of the dragon is now going away slowly but surely. And in the meantime, they did protect themselves using some sort of wall that would bounce off the winds to a different direction. The only issue is that would cause a little bit of issues for just about a day or two for other people in the nearby villages, but luckily everything seemed to settle down and go well once again. Naofumi would eventually awaken to Raphtalia waiting for him to wake up once again. Naofumi would finally be awoken, and it's time for them to leave. Naofumi and Raphtalia head out and leave in the opposite direction that they normally would have. They're no longer going back to Melromark, they're leaving to shield Frieden. They've gotten information on where it is, and Naofumi seemingly has gotten far, far stronger from the absorption of the dragon's flames, which is unexpected that Naofumi was unexpected for Naofumi, and they just head off and eventually would reach the border nearby. Seeing many, many nice places around, it seems that there's some other people that live around here, but Naofumi would reach the border and ask questions about leaving. And eventually, after some questions and about the relations, about what's the reason why he wants to leave, they allow him to cross the border. He enters Shield Frieden only days before the month is about to end, and only days before the next wave. So when he arrives and he begins to speak with the people of Shield Frieden, they ask if he could stay here and help with the next wave that's to come. On top of that, they could help him and Raphtalia gain even more strength, especially Raphtalia. It seems she's getting closer and closer to her class upgrade, so they would love to help them out with that regard. And Naofumi is shocked. Class upgrade? He has no idea what they're talking about, in which they explain exactly the case, and they're surprised that one of the heroes didn't know about it. And Naofumi questions if he really is one of the heroes. It seemed as if he wasn't. He was no hero that they were expecting, or at least on the way they reacted, it didn't seem like it. This then leads Naofumi to ask a ton of questions, asking about what's going on with these heroes and so on and so forth. And he ends up learning about something interesting. He actually learns about the shield hero. The shield hero is actually who's supposed to be summoned, and actually the 4 heroes summoned weren't supposed to be summoned to one country. And when hearing this all begins to make sense. Naofumi has a realization overall and apologizes, saying that he wishes that it didn't turn out this way, but they'll have to make the most of whatever is left. So he tells them that he's going to need as much training and as much leveling up as possible, including this so-called class upgrade. But what they don't know is that this next wave may be easy for them because of the structured and proper units of, well, Shield Frieden, and how easy they're going to be prepared for this so-called next wave. But in Melromark, hell will raise. It seems as if Melromark will not be prepared because the heroes won't be prepared. Because what they don't understand is there's far more to this world than just leveling up and being strong. If you don't go further beyond than just that, it's going to leave you, well, a little bit short. Frankly, even in video games, if you just power level and that's all you do, you're not going to get to exactly where you need to be for the proper missions. And this mission that's going to come in a matter of days is going to put them down extremely hard. A couple days would pass, and the wave would begin for Naofumi, Raphtalia, and Shield Frieden, and the wave would be taken down relatively easily. The monstrous dragon that's above them and that's beginning to fight them is nothing compared to what Naofumi has faced before, and is nothing to the power he currently holds. Being at an extremely high level, probably even a higher level than the other heroes, with Raphtalia being an extremely high level after the class upgrade as well, and Shield Frieden knowing exactly where to train, level up, and how to properly scale, it is extremely easy. Shield Frieden, especially after eliminating the wave, is extremely grateful for Naofumi and Raphtalia, giving them everything that they possibly could want. New armor, new weaponry, new things that will help Naofumi accelerate the process of leveling up, and also having stronger explosions, anything that would allow him to absorb, or anything that he could absorb to make different versions of his explosions, and Naofumi would feel properly treated. He would feel happy. Raphtalia and him know that they can't get complacent, and they begin to actually train some of the other people, or consider training some of the other people in Shield Frieden to prepare for the future. But as Naofumi thinks about this, he looks over toward Melromark to see that the clouds have not come down. The purple skies are still very, very awakened and still there. Naofumi decides to leave Raphtalia here just in case, and decides to fly over to see what's happening. And when he arrives, he sees a woman in a black kimono. But just as he does, she looks over to him and shakes her head as she blasts these kind of thread needles toward the other heroes. Naofumi goes plunging down as he blasts those little blasts away, and she slightly smirks as she's forced back through the wave. Naofumi turns around to see the other three heroes on the ground, extremely injured, but luckily not amputated or anything like that. And Naofumi shakes his head. He helps them all to the Melromark Kingdom to get healed up and basically feel any better. But it seems a lot of them have been cut down to size. Their egos, their mentalities have now been driven to the ground. And that is perfect for someone or something, an entity, the church, the quote-unquote three hero church needed this and wanted this, because the fact that these heroes are down in the dumps and their mentalities are squashed, it's perfect for their rise. Naofumi has already been out from Melromark a long time, and he hasn't been around enough. But when he saves these so-called heroes and he begins to leave, he gets a message from one of the shadows that is waiting. The shadow says that the queen needs to speak with him as soon as possible. The queen of Melromark needs his help now. It seems that he's stronger, better, and seems to be more collected than all of these heroes combined. And Naofumi, they'll need to lean on him for something that's going to occur. The queen is out, and the queen currently is not available to help, but a meeting with her will be portrayed and happened very, very soon. The shadow leads Naofumi to an unknown location, a place for him to stay, and he tells the shadow that they need to send a message to Shield Frieden and Raphtalia to tell them where he is currently. The shadow agrees to do so, and even brings back a message confirming this of Raphtalia's handwriting, and Naofumi says that is just fine, that he'll speak with the queen very, very soon, and whatever's going on, he'll help stop it. But that is for the next part of What If Naofumi Was the Legendary Explosion Hero. And if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a sub, make sure to leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope y'all continue to enjoy, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.